Përshëndetje and welcome to Inside Albania with me, Alice Taylor. Today I'm very excited to be joined in the studio by two Hollywood film executives. They've come all the way from LA to Albania on a trip with the Catalyst Institute, which is working with the Ministry of Culture, to investigate whether Albania has potential to be used as a set for movies. This is incredibly exciting. I'm joined by Juliana Politsky. She's a producer. She's worked on big films such as Godzilla, Dune, Pokemon, Warcraft, Kong, and many more. And also Grayson Stubbs, who's also worked on many, many big films in Hollywood, but he works more in the legal sort of sector. I'm going to be asking them, what did you think of Albania? And does it really have potential to be used in Hollywood films? Juliana and Grayson, welcome to Inside Albania. Thank you for making time in your busy schedule to come here today. It's an honor to interview you both.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
I have so many questions, but let's start at the beginning because I want to introduce you guys to our viewers as well properly. Can you tell me a bit about how did you get into your chosen career? Was it something you always wanted to do or something you sort of fell into along the way?
No, it was something that I always wanted to do. It was not the career path that my high school advisor would have told me to do. You know, that would have been more like teaching secretarial lawyers. But it was a passion. And to be honest, it was ignited by my mom and my dad. My dad loved movies and my mom loved TV. And, you know, kind of doing that, I grew up in farm country. I didn't grow up in a big city. So for me to actually get where I am today to where I came from is kind of a jump. But it was really kind of living in those worlds of film and TV that maybe actually have a bigger purview of the world. So that when I got there, people were like, oh, you're from New York. I'm like, no, I'm from like farm country and cornfields. And I ended up kind of like segueing into just because of sheer perseverance and getting into the entertainment industry. And it was really started from a passion of film.
I'm from the country as well. I grew up in a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. You know, people assume the same, that I grew up in London or some city or something. But was it, because I imagine the film industry to be like it is with TV in the UK and even here to an extent, you know, you have to sort of know a network of people, what school you went to, and is there that sort of atmosphere as well in Hollywood, in LA?
Yeah, 100%. That is present. For me, I knew no one. I started from complete scratch and having no connections through family or connection through friends. Actually, to be honest, how I got my job is because I was from the Midwest. And somebody that was a hiring manager was also from the Midwest. And so they're like, oh, you're like me, you know, kind of gave me an opportunity and a little bit of a leg up. And they're like, you're a hard worker. You're like subtle, you know, have grit, as they would say. And so it was like, that was the thing that kind of let me get my foot in the door and then prove myself. On top of that.
I mean, you've worked on some huge films, but which was your first sort of project where you had that first step?
My first, and I call it my baby, was Godzilla. It was, you know,
a big one.
It was a tiny movie. And those budgets would start at 200 million and above, right? And we had an amazing director on that one who was also a new guy, Gareth Edwards, who's fantastic. He kind of came off of a smaller movie, then we gave him this big one. But it was seeing something from an initial IP, intellectual property, to creating it, to filming. And from that, the company that I was working for kept doing like Godzilla 1, Godzilla 2, etc., building on top of it. So I always say that that was my first baby, and that was like my first project.
A giant baby,
literally. It was a big one, and a very known one, right?
Yeah,
so it's really special. Like, how do you keep this intellectual property at the same time, like, you know, making sure that the fans are getting what they want, but at the same time, you know, doing what is needed for the studio.
Wow, that's an amazing first step to take on a film like that. And you, Grayson, how did you end up in this career path?
A bit different of a situation. Where maybe right place, right time. In Los Angeles, growing up as a kid, they, where I was born and raised, they shot a lot of film and TV at my house growing up. And so when we moved into the house that I grew up in, the first day, they were shooting a commercial at my house.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, and so we kind of walked into it. Fast forward a few years, and then there was an actor that was on a tech scout looking for a location. And then they showed up at my doorstep. I answered the door, and then there was a producer that looked down at me. He said, "Do you want to be in a movie, kid?" And I was like, yes, I do. And that's actually how I got into acting for a hot minute, just for a short minute, which is why I went into the law afterwards. It went so well.
Did it?
Yeah, it went so well. And sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm making it. And then you do one thing or two things, a few commercials or something. And then you're like, where did it go? You know, you have to keep going at it. You have to keep working at it. But my father was a lawyer by trade, and I put the two together in university, and I went to law school, but I focused on entertainment law and the business side of things. And then after law school, I worked at a law firm where we were outside counsel for Fox International and Sony International and Legendary. And so that's how, actually, way back in the day, me and Juliana were able to work together, because I was an outside production counsel on some of her films. And so, yeah, so that's how I got into it. So I was doing bigger budget films as a lawyer and a business affairs executive. And then after a number of years, my wife and I, we were able to move out to Paris and then to London, where I worked remotely doing production legal work on films, but then went in-house with Lionsgate. And so I was able to handle international distribution for like John Wick and for The Hunger Games and for all those big budget films that were great. And so that really gave me experience selling and distributing throughout the world to all these different cultures and territories. And I've been in international for about 10 years now and loving it.
So do you ever wish, you know, ever look back and think, oh, maybe I wish I'd pursued the acting a bit more, or do you think it was the right decision to take to go behind the scene?
I think it was the right decision to take, because you're always an actor if you're an actor, right?
Yes.
Like, I still get it.
You can
out.
always
you can always turn it on. But there was something to be said about understanding the background and the business side of everything. I didn't want to have to ask somebody else for advice or to not be able to protect myself necessarily or anything like that. And so I figured I will learn everything in the back office, figure out how to do this all myself. And then I'm able to go out on my own now and then do everything myself. So
what's the most challenging part of your job?
I would say time management with working in multiple time zones and trying to keep all the plates spinning.
Yes.
You know, it's a marathon and not a race, but you got to be sprinting as well.
Yes, I struggle with one time zone sometimes, you know, let alone multiple. And for you, what's the most challenging part of your role?
Coming from like a studio setting, you know, where there's a lot of people that there's a department for this, there's a department for that, and then breaking off on my own and starting, you know, first production company with some colleagues, and then also starting my own, just, you know, kind of women, female forward, and supporting representation and genre. It was really kind of pivoting from that working for a company to entrepreneurship, which I always was. And the people that do sustain themselves in the industry have that muscle
spirit
and have that tool. And so it was pivoting to that, like, oh, well, I guess I am legal affairs and I am, you know, like HR and I am
do everything. I have
accounting, you know, so it's really great to have like colleagues and friends like Grayson to be like, how do I do this? You know, but you hope you have built that rapport and that network to be like, hey, can you help me out with this? You know, I help you, you help me type of situation, and build that, you know, community, which I've said and stressed a lot, so that when you do have those questions, you're like ready to go for it.
Yeah. And out of all the projects that you've worked on and been a part of, which one is the one that you're most proud of?
Oh, there's so many, because when I was at the studio, I was probably looking at 25 projects that I was a part of, right? But at a studio, you're working on 2 to 3 a year, right? And it's a different animal when you're in that machine to when you have something that you're like, you found the story, you've created it with a director or writer, you're raising the money, you're building the cast, you know, you're doing,
you've nurtured it,
all the
molded it.
hats. Yeah. I do love Godzilla because it was my first.
Yes.
And then it did continue to go. And that did, like, when you're working on those big type of projects, they kind of like jumpstart careers for people.
Yes. And
for me, now it's working on the indies. And when I say indies, that's, you know, the smaller budgets comparative to 200 million. So it's still in the millions, but it's kind of creating and being part of that. So I have one on deck that is coming out, and we're in it and trying to develop it and bring it. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here, is like, is it a potential to bring something like that here?
Yes.
And having those to create from scratch, but to be part of it and to help steer it, that's kind of,
you have more control, more freedom as well, in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
And same question to you. Which project have you been a part of that's you're most sort of proud to put your name to?
So I would say it's really great to have helped support the distribution of some of the films that I've been a part of. It's really hard to say that it's not great to have helped support John Wick's distribution. It's great. One of the, I would say honestly, The Hunger Games is probably one of the best series to help.
Did you meet Jennifer Lawrence?
No, I didn't.
I'd love to.
She's wonderful. She's wonderful to work with. Yeah, but not personally.
No. So The Hunger Games is your...
To be a part of a big event that, and a big event release where the whole world is talking about it, is a privilege and an honor.
Yes, I can imagine. Right, Albania. How did you end up in Albania?
Good question. Through Grayson and through Philip and his school, Catalyst, that has kind of set up shop here within the last year and some change, and kind of wanted to support the film community here and build it. You know, kind of bringing those outside players. And we kind of, all of us who have been on this, we call it a FAM tour, familiarization tour, are new to Albania, you know, new to the countries and new to the culture. But we're kind of all entrepreneurs, and that we're okay with being the first, or we're okay with enhancing something that's already here or supporting it. So Grayson, he got brought on, and he was like, we've worked together, and I know you are the way you are, and you can just get in it and figure it out, and you're open, and you're willing to like educate as well as, you know, be educated, because that's the big thing too, is like, you have to realize you're coming into an area that has its own traditions, has its own, you know, things that need to be respected. And so it's kind of the whole group that's with us is on that same like-mindedness. And it's been amazing to meet, you know, the individuals in this country and see how beautiful it is and they are.
We'll talk more about how wonderful it is in a minute. So I guess I should have asked you that question first, rather than how did you end up hearing about this trip to Albania? I guess you had contact with Philip, you knew him before.
So I'm working with a producer that knows Philip on a great feature film that we were trying to bring to Albania already. And then when I was talking with my producer, she was like, you have got to speak with Philip. They're doing amazing things. He has this amazing institute, Catalyst, and they're really trying to help support and grow the growing film industry and TV industry here. You know, it's something that you should be a part of. I know I'm passionate about teaching as well, and trying to help raise up other folks.
Yep.
I've had a lot of privilege in my life, and I'm trying to help other folks that maybe didn't have all those advantages with literally productions showing up on your doorstep. Like, that doesn't normally happen. It's not that easy, I promise. It shouldn't have been. And he said, you have to come out and take a look at what we're doing. I said 1,000%. And I've been blown away with what the response and with what they're building, and the capacity and ability of everybody here, and the passion. It's amazing. It's refreshing coming out of other places that maybe are more established and folks are maybe a little bit jaded, maybe. It's great to come here where people are just passionate and want to make great.
Yeah, they're hungry. They're hungry for the opportunity, and they're so proud of the country as well. Any opportunity to show it off, they're like,
and it's wonderful.
Yes, please. What I wanted to ask, and I've been here 8 years now, but people in interviews still ask me, before you came here, you must have had some preconception, because, you know, people talk about Albania. There are certain Hollywood films which have said not very nice things about Albania. In the news, sometimes you see bad things about Albanians, you know, and I'm wondering, honestly, did you have any niggling preconception in your head when you heard the word Albania?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was on my to-do list, right? It wasn't. And it's unfortunate, because I now coming here, I think it should be for more people, right? I had no clue, and I had, you know, the historical things, you know, the things that you've heard on the news, right? Which may not be that positive between, you know, the three countries that are connected together. So I really didn't have anything that I knew exactly. I was coming very open-minded, but I was also coming very like cautious.
Yes.
At the same time, because you have to when you're an outsider. And a lot of those have been pleasantly surprised, but also so surprised that I was like, this is amazing. And it's a place to grow, and it's a place, you know, that is accepting of the arts, which is what blew me away.
Yes.
You know, I'm local to, you know, Hollywood, LA. I'm from the United States. We're seeing a lot of contrast happen in that space, right? Some arts are being taken away, programs being defunded. So to see like the desire to have it and the passion, but passion with learning behind it, not let me just love it, let me learn about it so that I can be part of it, but the support from legislation across has been mind-blowing to me and like amazing to see.
Because I think the government here, I mean, I know Catalyst is working with the Ministry of Culture. I think they're very keen to change people's perception of Albania, any negative perception. And they've done a lot of work, and I think they've done quite well to start that change already. People are seeing it as a tourism destination. You know, they're less worried they're going to get kidnapped if they come here. And a lot of this has come from the government. So I think they're very keen to do anything which will change that perception and allow people to see, you know, actually this is like an incredibly beautiful country and the people are great. You know. And did you have any sort of warning alarm go off with the word Albania?
I knew that there are assumptions that people make because maybe some media and TV and film that maybe portrayed things in a different light or whatever. And I knew that that probably wasn't the case, but I didn't know what to expect. Right? And because I'd never been here before. So I came with a very open mind, thinking maybe Hollywood probably got it wrong because that, you know, if we're talking about films and stuff like that, it probably was just a story. And so I came here with an open mind, and then coming here, like I've said, it was just blown away with the passion by everybody and how warm and welcoming everybody was. And yeah, it's been really exciting to see the passion on the ground and yeah.
But you've not just been to Albania, you've been to Kosovo and North Macedonia as well. What were your experiences in those countries? What did you think?
Equally, if not more, blown away. Kosovo, because I had unfortunately known it from the war, and in most recent, you know, it's not been hundreds of years, it's been decades, right? And just meeting that legislation and seeing how fast they want to move. Again, even in Hollywood, they don't even move that fast. And just the desire and need for that, but putting arts and film as a priority, as opposed to, it'd be really great to do. But I think it's because of those unfortunate events that they want to, what's the narrative that we are going to tell? Because it was almost like they were like, we're a new country or a new version. And that's exciting, but it's even more exciting when you have the support of legislation, which you don't have that all the time in any country and or state.
You met with the president, of course.
Did.
How was that?
She was amazing. Like she, like 100%, like, yes, I understand why you are where you are. It was a surprise to me. I knew we may, and I was like, okay, yeah, that'll happen, right? Because it is not accessible in the United States. And
no, you can't just rock up and be like, hey, I want to meet the president.
You couldn't even do that for like a governor, but that shows you how much of support that she wants to give to this cause and to the arts, and to put like such a positive and like good perception of the area in general, which again, I did not expect that, and that 100% blew me away.
And actually, I just realized we haven't properly explained for the audience, what is it that they want to do, that the Kosovo government, that the Albanian government, that Catalyst, that we want to use this region as sets for movies. What's the plan?
Yes.
Or the dream?
Yes. I think it's to, you know, to help build an industry, to help tell stories, and to help tell the story that is the actual story and factual story, which of, you know, the beautiful, the new direction. You know, I think in Kosovo, they said 70% of the population is 35 and below. That again blew me away. I had no clue about those numbers. But what that tells you, it's like, what would a country look like if they got to start in this, you know, within the last 20, 30 years? And the opportunity and, you know, the people like the president, that's a woman in a position of power and decision making. And then the Ministry of Culture, who was also equally, if not more, like, this is very important to us. Let's start this yesterday. I was like, that is amazing, because the fast decision making, you know, to be able to have us come in there and have true conversations, but doing it from a place of authenticity and tradition, and how to show this area, the Balkan area, in a very positive light, so that other people understand like how beautiful, like I said, the area and the people are.
So is it about using this region for films that are not necessarily set here, and using it to tell stories that are from here. Like, I lived in Malta for 10 years, and they have the big film studios there, and they've used it for lots and lots of films that are not set in Malta, but they've used the backdrop there. I don't think there's any films that they've made there which are about Malta, really, that have gone on to be, you know, hugely successful. So I'm wondering if it's one or the other or both when it comes to here.
It's both. And you want that, right? You want something that's
Yes.
able to tell your stories authentically, right? And true to what today looks like, not past, always moving forward. So you can utilize areas in film and TV for other projects, which can help enhance the economy. You know, when crews come in, they pay money at restaurants and hotels.
How many people in a crew for a big film?
It depends, you know, if you're working on 5 million, maybe 40, 50 on set during a day, but that may be 100 through the shoot. And then if you take a big budget, 200 million above, that's hundreds, right? So what that does is it injects the economy, you know, for that period to, like I said, small stores, restaurants, you know, hotels, dry cleaning, gas. And a lot of people don't think of it down the line like that, that how much of an impact it can do. So you can shoot stuff that is not about the area, but just enhances the economy. But then you can also have the opportunity to tell the stories, which I think there's a huge advantage in you know, wide open space here to do that and tell something that, so people can see outside. And I kind of asked people, I was like, what do you want people to know about you that we don't? That was a question I asked a lot.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
What did she say?
Like, that we're not the past.
Anything, everything.
They were not the past. You know, we have this we have a legislation that is willing to move things forward, and they're doing the work. And they're serious about it, and it's a priority. Again, blown away by that, and so admirable. And just like the passion from the people that was like, I'll figure it out, let's do it.
You know what I like about Kosovo particularly as well? There, I find, okay, they're all Albanians in Albania and in Kosovo, but there is a difference. I see Kosovo as a bit more maybe progressive in some areas as well, but also what I like when it comes to arts there, photography, filmmaking, fashion, they're quite indie. They have developed a style sort of their own that I notice, and they're very sort of tuned into what's popular, what's going on outside of the country as well. Whereas in Albania, it's not, I don't see it quite, their artistic styles maybe not quite as refined yet. I really notice it in Kosovo. They're more hip. I don't like the word hip, but they have this style. I don't know. It's a bit different. I notice it when I read magazines from there, when I see films from there, you know, they really do have this style. I think it's a very young country, but they've been so exposed to the US and to international, you know, since the end of the war. I think maybe that's where it's come from, whereas Albania has been a bit more closed off and it's taken a bit longer to develop. During your stay, where else have you visited that left an impression on you?
Honestly, it's been going back a little bit to your other question, like why we're here too. Part of what we do is we find locations and places and locations that can double for other spots, right? And so flying in, I looked down and I was like, that looks so much like Los Angeles and the San Gabriel Valley and San Fernando Valley. And looking at the topography and everything like that, it really does look, actually could duplicate for California. Wow. And so looking around, I was just like, this could actually be different parts of California.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard someone say that about Albania.
No, it's true though. No, because nature and
mountains, and then, Yeah.
And then for me, because I'm from LA, like I'm used to having mountains in the background.
Yes.
I live in London now. They have hills.
No mountains, They have
hills. So when I come back and I see mountains, I'm home. It feels great. It feels wonderful. So looking around, I've been looking at things that look so similar and yet have such a unique aspect to it as well. Yes. And so when coming here, we're looking at, it could be multiple places, but also it's its own unique place too. It just depends on how you shoot it.
Yes.
Right. And so looking around, we've gone up to North Macedonia, which was amazing. And we came back down through the mountains. And every location that we've been to has had something that has blown us away, honestly. And we're with a group of other producers as well. And every one of us has said, there's so much here. We're so excited about the possibilities. Yes. The issue that we're going to run into is that, we're coming with a group of producers. There's not enough trained up, skilled up professionals that have enough reps in the room, enough films underneath their belt to actually support more than, let's say, 2 or 3 films at a time. Because if all of our friends came with all the films that we have right now, we would be out of workers with 2 films going. And so that's why it's so important to support Catalyst to help grow the base of workers that are professionals that know how, when we come in, how a set will run, what we need out of folks, and how it operates. And so we are really hopeful that the trend will continue, and I believe that it will, obviously, where the governments and the people will invest in themselves, so that we can come in and invest as well. So there's a lot of excitement there.
2 things. The first, I've been here 8 years, and I travel a lot for work and for fun around the country, and I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface of the places that you can go to and the views that you can find. And someone will message me and tell me about this place that I've never heard of, and they'll send me a picture, and I'll be like, God, this place is just insane. Where is this? I mean, it's a small country, but there is just so much to discover. And like 8 years, every weekend I travel, and I'm still constantly, I'm like, I wish there was 2 of me, because I like photography, I like to paint as well, I make films, and I just wish there were more of me to cover the potential that this country has. And that was interesting what you said about the challenges, to do with human capital and things. What other challenges do you see to getting this industry off the ground in Albania? Okay, we don't have enough trained people. Hopefully that will change. I think also maybe people don't realize that this is a potential career for them. So this will change as well. But what else, like logistics wise, is there any issue, do you think?
Every area has its challenge, and it's like who's up for the challenge. That's like a bigger question. They are working through tax credits, because that's a huge component of why it's very shocking that there's actually not as much movies and TV that shoots in LA that used to, right? And it's because it became very problematic and difficult. One, not everybody was getting a tax credit, or 2 was very permits, like shutting down a street in LA is very problematic, right? And so here it seems like there might be an ease with some of that.
It's fine.
Yeah, so like I'll call.
Excuse me, do you mind if I've filmed with my daughter. I take my daughter with me when I film sometimes, and I've had her where I've been filming something, and she'll turn around to people and she'll be like, can you not walk there? My mum's filming, I can bring her, it's fine. Yeah,
fantastic.
Don't worry, she'll take care of it.
But I think with all that, yes, if you were to have a couple projects come in, even if it's commercial and maybe a movie, right, or a part of a series, you think about it as, we call it crew deep. Like, okay, if a movie and a commercial is working at the same time, do you have 2 crews deep? The question, that answer is probably no. Can you get there? Yes. But to do it, what happens is, and a lot of people may not like this initially, but it's what always happens to any area that builds up, is outside has to come in.
Yeah.
Like you will always, when I was at the studio, but that was big budget, we would bring over half of our crew from LA or somewhere else. And it's because those people have worked the same teams.
Yeah.
They've been doing that for X amount of years. So there is an initial thing where outside will come in, but it will also be an opportunity to learn from that, if you look at it that way. So, but some places are like, we don't want outside. No, it's actually very good if you utilize it as a tool and to build on.
And like you said earlier, those people are still going to be contributing towards the economy of the country, and there's benefits in that area as well.
So it's just kind of understanding that process and being like welcoming, which there's never an area that we've come that we've not felt welcome. And I've heard that that's kind of like a thing. And I was like, oh, it actually is true, right? Which again was pleasant to hear. But I know there's also a very every area has their own traditions. And every area has their own respects for this. Understand there may be a learning curve with that, because you can't know all things at once. But then that's an opportunity for you to educate them. Yeah. Right?
It's also quite a personal country in the way that, where I'm from, you want to work with someone, you can do everything via email and blah, 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 blah. No, here, people want to meet you. Right. They want to sit opposite you. They want to talk to you before they'll consider, it's a much more personal. They want to maybe look you in the eyes, suss you out a bit before they want to work with you, which was a bit different for me. Like I said, in the UK, in Malta, where I lived before, I've worked with people for years and never met them, or you meet them at the end of the project, but there's that trust because you're professionals,
Right.
And and you know each other's background, but it's different here. Yeah, people want to meet, they want to have a coffee with you first, you know, at least one or two before they start to. It's the little cultural differences like this as well that I found quite difficult to. So do we think Albania could expect to see any sort of film or commercial anytime in the near future, hopefully, or?
Yeah, well, one of our colleagues with us, he's like, I'm here. Let's, you know, like hopefully. I think commercials is always one of your first ones because they can be very nimble and shoot quickly. And they're always looking for, we call it that has something that hasn't been seen before, or we call it being shot out. And I think that was one of the exciting things for us who were like, oh, well, this could look like this, but also we've never seen this before. Right. And that was one of the North Macedonia, which I'd never been to, you know, and I was like, this is amazing, Alexander, this, and you know, and it has that European feel, but also very much being who they are, Macedonia, and the respect and their traditions. So I do think that that will happen. It'll probably happen in a smaller scale, or it'll be like smaller movies initially, but some people have to be the first.
Yes.
But you just have to find the people that are willing to be the first and willing to like have those dialogue conversations as opposed to be, this is the way it's going to be. And that's on both sides of the table, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the group that we're with is pretty great. We have TV executives with us. We have film professionals with us that we all have projects that we're in various stages of development with. And then the funniest bit was Ryan Hawkins, executive producer with Rabbit's Black, dear friend of mine, is with us, and he does both commercials and film. And so all of us that are just film or TV, our projects take a bit longer. And so we're like, we're putting stuff together. It'll be a few months or something like that, whatever, it's great. He's like, he literally was on a call, was like, yeah, I'm ready to go. This is great. So I think there's going to be definitely an influx. It'll be great.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
Another question. So you're leaving quite soon, I think, that your trip is at the end anyway. What is the one thing that you will say to family, friends when you get back, when they go, oh, so how was Albania? You know, what's the key? And I'm not talking about work necessarily, but what left the biggest impression on you? What's the one thing you say, oh my God, you have to know this about Albania?
Oh, well, and all of us came with a kind of open, and I think that was part of the group, and that's a testament to Grayson, you know, who brought us, that's how he is, right? And so, you know, coming with that open-mindedness and being accepting of different cultures and learning, like I said, it becomes that dialogue. So how beautiful the people are. And I didn't think they weren't going to be, but when you hear about all these historical things that happen, you might have a preconceived notion of like cynical or, you know, having, you know, down on this, or maybe not, you know, negative.
It's a dangerous country.
Is it still in this mindset? And you can always see a residual of that, but you also see this want to not be that.
Yes.
And I was hearing people laugh on the street and to be honest, I don't hear that in LA, and I don't know if you go to New York and you don't hear that. We're in a very interesting times, but just the positive outlook and the positive projection, or, you know, direction that everybody wants to head, but is also willing to do the work to head. In your legislation, your president, your Ministry of Culture, Sports and Youth, and seeing how much they are supporting arts and film and entertainment. We call it entertainment as a whole, you know, TV, arts, you know, different type of projects, but having that support and not like, okay, yeah, we'll it's on our radar. No, a priority is huge. And it's actually something that, you know, I wish the West, or, you know, I wish the United States would adopt more as a whole. Yes. You know, like I said, it's a very interesting time, and we're seeing some of that stuff go away in public schools, and how important the arts are to not only, like, you know, support you creatively, support you in a potential career, but also tell your story as a country. Like, what do you want to tell your story today, go forward? And again, how positive the people are that I've met, and how passionate and welcoming. And that's half the battle when we look at places to go. We're like, what's it like there? How are the people?
Yeah.
And are they willing to work together and willing to be like all hands on deck, right? Because sometimes you're like, well, I'm this position, I can't do that. When we get into our spaces, especially working with smaller budgets, either on commercials or
to
smaller movies,
do everything.
it's all hands on deck.
Yeah.
And I've actually seen that community and collaboration in a very positive light.
It's great. I think for me as well, I mean, I've been here 8 years now, but the people for me was one of the main things. Everyone's friendly, everyone will talk to you. As a woman, it's safe. I mean, I would imagine you have not felt once that you were in an unsafe situation here. Like, you see people in the street with their phones walking along like this, leaving their wallet on the table in a cafe. I mean, we do not do that in the UK anymore, you know.
Yeah.
I walk alone at night anywhere. I walk home anywhere in the country as well. I've traveled alone at night, walked around cities in rural areas at night, and you wouldn't catch me doing that in the UK, you know. And for me, that's such it's a wonderful thing to have that level of freedom, you know, somewhere.
It is.
I think we take it for granted, you know.
Well, yeah, except we're feeling a little bit of crunch in the US, but also the support of women and women in positions of decision making, and not only decision making, making priorities for things that, in my opinion, are very might get sidelined over in other areas, but being put front and center here, because I think it's really important that you tell your story.
Yes.
You know, and in what better way in all three of these areas working together and just seeing almost like the outside seeing what could be possible if you do that.
Yes. And this is a region where working together has sometimes been a bit complicated. So it's nice if countries can come together through art. What better way to do it? What will you be taking home when people ask you about Albania?
I'm taking home how European it feels here, and it is here. Because I think that there's a misconception maybe that people don't know that it's Europe.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah.
Like, and how warm and welcoming everybody is. It's amazing. Well,
good food?
Amazing.
Did you try raki?
Food. Of course.
Good.
Of course.
Yes. Very good night's rest after. And then I'm also taking back with me how, going back to what you were saying, the amount of female filmmakers, women filmmakers that are setting the stage and setting the scene and setting a high standard that everybody else has to catch up to.
Yes.
It's great. It's really wonderful to see. It's really exciting.
Mind-blowing, actually.
Yes.
You know, we met with Errol, who does Docu-Fest, I believe. And, you know, I was like, what can you attest so many of these, like, projects getting into these high-level festivals that we know of, like the Sundance and the Cannes and stuff like that. He's like, women have a voice that they're sharing. And, you know, and I would say the unfortunate thing, it's coming from a place of not being able to probably share it as much. But the positive of it is, what is that story and what is that narrative? And look, it's putting all of this area on the map and showcasing what can be done here and the people, like I said, like how beautiful it is and the beautiful people and stories.
Thank you both so much for visiting, for taking the time for this interview, and for the really positive things that you've said about Albania and Kosovo and North Macedonia. I'm sure the audience would be really happy to hear that, because, you know, we've suffered with a bad reputation for such a long time. And as you've seen yourself, the reality is very, very different. So thank you both. And I hope we will see you back in Albania again with some exciting projects in the future.
Thank you. Can't wait to be back.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
That's all for this week. You can watch Inside Albania every Saturday on Euronews Albania, on our YouTube channel, Euronews Albania, or across all major podcasting platforms. Until next week, Mira Bafshim.